All right, this week we have Kate Rains. Now, Kate Rains is very different to a lot of the people I've interviewed so far in that she is not in Melbourne. She is out in the out of Gisborne, so she's not in that inner circle that has been locked down recently. Um, Now, Kate is a mother of 3 boys, a grandmother of 6. She has a graduate diploma in psychotherapy. She also has her Cert 3-4 in fitness. She has a certificate in massage from Washington, D.C. She has completed 3 full marathons, and all this after the age of 38. Kate Rains, welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So, of those things that we've just gone over, what ones are your really stand out for you?
I think, well, I've been thinking about this, and they're all actually interwoven. I might have done one here, one there, but they've all, when I go back to the first lot of study I did, which was the certificate of massage in Washington, D.C., I was taught from a psychological aspect. So it wasn't just bones and muscles, it was what's going on for that person in their body sort of thing that I don't know about. So I go way back to there, and then studying psychotherapy with a focus on body-oriented somatic psychotherapy. It's like I feel like I've just been weaving the body and the mind, which wasn't necessarily all that common or popular years ago. But I think I've just been weaving those things all together. And then at the ripe old age of 64, I decided to study personal training, certificate 3 and 4 of fitness. So I think that's probably helped me bring a whole lot of aspects of my learning and what I know and how I live into, I don't know, something really a little bit different, a little bit special, a little bit I love it sort of thing. So does that answer your question?
Yes, that answers my question. It's all interwoven, and you are, all of them stand out as one. So
yes, yeah. And yet the psychotherapy work I do and the personal training work I do, they're very separate. I don't train those people with those people sort of thing. However, my knowledge, I think that's what I'm really beginning to appreciate, is that I can, and many of us can, weave our lifelong knowledge into our work with our clients.
Yes.
I think that's where I'm coming from.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into who Kate Rains is. So a little bit on your background.
Okay.
You're from a generation that is a little bit older than a lot of the demographic that I've spoken with. So I will let you lead the way and on telling your story.
Okay. I love the way you say a little bit older. Thanks. I'm not quite sure if that's a compliment for them though. But anyway, yes. So where do I start? I can often get a little bit overwhelmed with this sort of question because, whoa, when I look back, where do I start with my life? I guess what I will start with, which has had a huge impact on every aspect of my life, is the first 12 years of my life were actually filled with a lot of trauma for my body and my mind. And I had no idea at the time, and not until I was in my probably middle 30s did I have any idea of the impact of that on myself, physically, emotionally, mentally. And so after I ran my first marathon, which was actually the last Frankston to Melbourne, and I had no idea, but what happened for me is, with all that movement of running, even all the training and all the running, feelings and thoughts that I had buried in my body for, 30 odd years, all began to sort of get stirred up. And then we went over to America to live for a while, and I studied massage. So the combination of running and learning massage, where you're touching body and literally, stirring up all the tissues and all the fluids and everything, that sort of sent me on my journey of healing my trauma. And so I realized then that I had an opportunity to sort of change and even find out my own mind, but to change a lot of my thinking, but also realize where movement came into this for me. And strangely enough, with all the trauma that I grew up with, we also did a lot of fairly heavy outside work, and clearing paddocks and doing things like that. And it turns out that I've realized that type of outside work and functional movement, which people live by, sort of thing, that actually saved my life in a way. And so I was able to do sport at school, and in those days it was softball, and we called it basketball, which I think they might call netball now. I think they were the only sports. But I can remember really loving and feeling good about myself when I actually did do movement. I also remember, though, feeling really bad about myself when we went into the hallway, the hall for PT, and we did gymnastics. And I could never do anything like that. My body, I just always felt quite heavy in my body. And I wasn't necessarily overweight, but I always felt fat. And so the gymnastics side of it, I could never do. And we used to be forced to do leapfrog over other girls. I went to an all-girls school, and there was just no way I could get off the ground. My body wouldn't do that. So, yeah, so that's been an interesting, when I look back now, I just realised how much those early years have had an impact on my journey now with movement, sort of thing. I grew up in a large family. I was number 12 out of a lot of kids. Life went on. How many?
Yeah, 12.
15 altogether. I was number 12. So that was interesting. And yeah, life went on, and I got married. We lived overseas a lot at the time. Peter was with an oil company, and we had our 3 kids all over the world. But these days, yes, you're right. I'm in Gisborne, just out of the lockdown, which has really been a blessing, and big awareness, sort of thing. Now, I don't know if I've rambled on there or not.
No.
What else?
No, that's fine. Like it's you, and that's what people want to hear, is the story of Kate and how she is who she is. It's not like you spoke about. You didn't just get to where you are now. It is a process that you have to go through, and it's years of study and self-reflection, and like you spoke about, going through past trauma and all that sort of stuff. And sometimes becoming who you are requires you to go back and deal with those past traumas, and it's not always easy. A lot of times people aren't willing to face them, and that's okay, but eventually you've got to dig deep and get through it. Otherwise it's just going to keep haunting you for a long time. So
Sure. Yes, look, I can agree with you in one way, but also some people are not willing. Some people are not actually able to do the deeper work. That you're right. I've spent a lot of years in self-reflection, in study, but I also spent a lot of years in my own therapy. And I really respect the process of therapy, and And some people can, some people can't, some people are willing, some people are not. It's, you know, yeah, it is a very personal thing, I think. But for me, I feel grateful that I had something inside of me that knew that there was more. I knew that I really wanted to make sense of life. And so for me, it was, you know, without even realizing what I was getting into, sort of thing, it's been an absolute blessing and an absolute gift. And that really ties over for me into how you and I met, which was I don't know, about 8 years ago now.
Yeah.
We met at a CrossFit gym in Airport West, or
Yeah.
no, in Tullamarine.
Yes, Tom.
And I say to people, for me, CrossFit is a version of the emotional work I do, because with CrossFit, you're continually coached, you are continually encouraged to have correct form, to get it right, to try. And you're your own competitor. You're not, you know, unless you're in a competition, you're not really competing with anybody else but yourself. And I love that. I think that was my appeal to CrossFit as well. So, yeah.
So I want to talk about your marathons. What inspired Kate to do her first marathon?
We lived in Melbourne, and then when the kids were young, we moved out to Gisborne. And I've exercised all my life. I love the Jane Fonda aerobics and all that sort of thing. I love the music and I love the beat and all that sort of stuff. But I never ran in Melbourne because I was always incredibly self-conscious of being fat. Now I look back now to photos and I wasn't fat, but that was a lot of my early trauma still just sort of sitting in my body, so to speak. And we moved out to Gisborne and I joined the local council gym, and I happened to meet a couple of other girls or ladies from there, and they used to run each morning. And I'd always wanted to, and I thought, well, when we move out to the country, I would like to start running. And so I did. So I started running with these girls, and we in those days we were young, and I think we went every day of the week just about, or at least 5 days a week went running, plus gym work. Anyway, one of them had done a marathon, and she was encouraging one of the other girls to do one. And I never, ever thought I could do anything like that. Yeah. And so when we came out here, I couldn't run at all, but I went from running nothing to running 5Ks and 7Ks. And then one day we did what we call the Mount Gisborne Run, which turned out to be a 13-kilometre run, and some of it was quite hilly like this. And I can still remember coming in at the end of it thinking, wow, if I can go from nothing to 13 Ks, then I can train and go from 13 to a marathon. Yeah. And so that's what got me going into doing a marathon was, well, these girls were training and, well, it's only physical. In those days, I figured it was only a physical thing. I had no idea of all the other layers, and you can laugh, that's fair enough. But whoa, what a trip. Yeah. So that's what got me into running and my first marathon. And yeah, it was the last Frankston to Melbourne. So that really holds some special memories for me.
So I spoke to one of my previous guests, and she was talking, Amanda, and she's run 6 marathons. And she said her first marathon, she got to about the 28K mark, and then all of the mental stuff kicked in, and all the questions start bubbling away. So my question for you here is, at what point during that marathon did those questions start kicking in for you?
I reckon on that first marathon, it was probably about the 5-kilometre mark.
Yeah. That's
with a lot to go. With a lot to go.
37 Ks worth of questions.
Exactly. Yes, because I think that was when I learned how emotional something like a marathon is, whereas before that I had no idea. And I felt like, yes, all my emotional weight was just sitting here like a vest, like a weighted vest. And I guess one of the strengths I've learnt about myself is I'm not a fast runner. You know, I'm not a fast mover. However, and I bring this in from my childhood, I have rather strong endurance.
Yeah.
And I can just plod along and I can get the job done.
Yeah.
And that's where I go back to that first marathon, is pulling on that emotional strength that I wasn't even fully aware of at that point. But yeah, I got the job done. You know, the benefit of being a slow runner in a marathon is when you come to the finish line, there's hardly anybody there. So you've sort of got the camera to yourself. You got the whole camera to yourself. It looks like I came first, but actually I came in the last lot. So, so you see, I can look for the positive. But yeah.
You know, talking to people who run marathons or who've done any fun runs, it's never about, for 99.9% of the people who do those things, it's never about coming first. It is about doing something they never thought possible.
Absolutely.
Whether it's
yes.
5K, 10K, 15, 42, 21, doesn't matter. It's
absolutely
going through that process, like, you know, let's keep going and see what happens.
Absolutely. Yep. It's again just a huge personal achievement, and very sweet. Yep.
Very sweet.
Yeah.
So we've sort of spoken like about your philosophy a bit on training. Let's sort of delve into that a little bit more. You know, you're talking about winding all your psychotherapy, and it's all sort of led into a massage, and everything's sort of coming in together at this point in time. Now, how does that translate? Now, I'm lucky enough, I've been through a session with you, and it is full of energy and lots of jumping and bouncing and trying to loosen all that emotional baggage off, which I greatly appreciated. How does your philosophy work on training?
I think probably since that session, it's like when I meet up with a client, and even more now after lockdown, it's very much about, one, where they're at emotionally, and two, how do I manage that with them? So my philosophy is that all our emotional stuff is held in our bodies, and sometimes it's really useful to bounce and be vital and get that out, but other times it's not appropriate to do that. So my philosophy is, where is the person on that day, and how much do I do what I do or what I think might benefit them versus actually where they're at. Now, I'm not sure if that makes sense to you or not, but sometimes my sessions are vital and sometimes they're strong, but they're quiet, but they can still help a person empty out some of their emotional stuff that might be blocking them or weighing heavy on them.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Meeting people where they're at, but giving them something that they need at that point. Like I said, it's either, you know, that bouncy sort of one to sort of loosen off whatever it is that's, you know, hanging around or they need to get out, or maybe it's a quieter but stronger session to sort of let them realize how strong they are. And that's...
Yes, absolutely. And I think also now what's coming to my mind, Brad, is I really try and help people be in their bodies when they're moving. And Joel and Ella have talked about the same thing. It's like really helping them come from there into there, then into their muscles and into their bones and into their bodies, and just sort of focus and come in. So I think that's what I'm sort of, I think I'm okay at getting that now. And it seems to really work for people, rather than there's no quick fix. It's not a 6 weeks and then you're done. It's, for all of us, life's a journey of ups and downs, and how do we master them through movement, through understanding ourselves? How do we master that, get stronger, more flexible, more agile, even at an older age? I think that's what I'm really focusing on with my philosophy these days. And that it doesn't matter what age you are, it's never too late to start. Yeah. Always too early to finish, never too late to start. Oh, and I think another philosophy I'm sort of having a little bit of a trick with at the moment is I say to people, when you're 80, you can slow down. Yeah. Until 80, no, we have to work our bodies. We've got to find a way that matches us, but you're not allowed to slow down until you're 80. Yeah. And so I really believe that. I mean, I plan, fingers crossed, I plan to still be moving at 80, yeah. But until then, let's move, sort of thing.
Yeah, so I think it's a big one, and all the stats that come out, the people that stop, that stop moving and stop doing things, it's 2 years, and then that's it. They're dead. Like, they retire, they stop moving, they stop doing things, and it's 2 years, and they're dead. Like, their body stops, and there's too much research, and there's too many stats coming out saying you might be retired from work, but you haven't retired from life. You need to keep doing things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I have a couple of phrases where I say how to master at this age, how to master the ups and downs of life more smoothly, because it's never too late to learn that, and how to finish the marathon of life strong. And you're right. I do have a certain vitality, not all the time. I'm not like that all the time, but that's been a really important part of my healing. And I sort of cherish that part of me now. And but I have to work it. My vitality is like an emotional muscle that I have to work.
Yes.
And these days I prefer to be sore from working out than not exercising, because I can get sore by not doing anything, and that frightens me more than being sore from a workout. Yeah. And I think there might be too many people who are not moving, not oiling their joints and not moving, that may have aches and pains from no movement. Yeah. And they're the ones I love to help, sort of, just slowly crank up the machine again, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Get the gears moving again.
Absolutely, yes. But appropriately, because I really specialise in only working with people over 55 these days, because that's my passion. My absolute passion is I see that there's lots of people who haven't been able to find somebody to work with appropriately. And part of the reason I went into personal training also, or studied Cert 3 and 4, is I think at that stage, another CrossFit gym that I had belonged to closed. And so I went locally to a gym. But a lot of people are not, a lot of trainers are not necessarily interested or able to work with somebody like me who is older, but who wants to be really vital and strong.
Yeah.
And fair enough, when I was young, I wouldn't have been interested either. But, that was part of what I realised. It's my real passion to work with people, especially over 55, to be the best version of themselves, whatever that looks like right now, sort of thing. So, yeah.
That's all. That's, it is a growing market, and it is a market that is probably underrepresented, in my opinion. Is, everyone talks about, the sustainability of being a PT and all that sort of stuff. And you're proving that it actually, it is a viable option at an older age. If you are enthusiastic about, helping people and making them, helping them achieve their goals and getting them moving again, and it's okay to share that with people in your age group or older, and that's a really good thing for people to see.
Yeah. And I guess an aspect of that started at probably 10 or 12 years ago, when I started working a lot with emotional eating. And so that can also apply to younger people who have lost their way with emotional eating and therefore can't move really well because they're carrying too much weight. And so in a way, it's like training people like that very carefully but very mindfully. Not that they're old, but their bodies are old. And so it's like helping people find that vitality that's inside themselves. Which I remember Joel talking about, going back to what you loved when you were young. And it really is. It's finding that childlike part of ourselves, which can often get buried in life's trauma and life happening.
Yeah.
So, it is. It's great. I love it. Yep.
Excellent. Now, we've been lucky enough to work with each other for the last few years. And one of your big goals was getting a handstand, which you are continually working on, but you have managed to kick up against the wall a few times. So I think that is a massive testament to people that you can't, it doesn't matter your age, you can do it. And it may take you 6 months, it may take you 18 months, just keep trying. So what was the feeling like when you got that first kick up handstand with no assistance, when you did it all by yourself?
All by myself with you on the side going, do this. Yeah, absolutely.
I know what you're talking about. I had nothing to do with it. It was you.
You're right. Physically, I did it on my own, but the coaching I had with you, with Dave, it's like I could never have learnt that on my own, because I can still remember at one of our CrossFit gyms in Sunbury, you and I, and just realising how locked my body was, especially the right side of my body and my hips. And a lot of that was actually connected back to my early trauma. Mm-hmm. And so it took years really for me to be able to have the freedom in my body and the trust in my body and to kick up. And the first time I did that, because I'm going to say with straight arms, which is just so different. Oh, it was so exciting. It was almost unbelievable, even though I'd been working so hard to achieve that. But what I do remember feeling was a sense of freedom. And I had this sense of freedom in my body that I'd never had before. And I imagine when I see my little granddaughter do handstands and cartwheels and things like that, I imagine it was a little bit of something like that, which I could never do as a child. Because if we go back to what I was talking about, where I always felt so heavy in my body and I could not get my feet off the ground like that. Now I can understand why. But I think freedom and fun and vitality and strength. And I do, I can still feel that pleasure even as I'm saying it, and a sense of disbelief as well. It's almost like, my Godfather, I can't believe I'm doing this, even though it's a bit like the marathon, I did that because I'd trained so much, and I got to the handstand because I'd trained so much. So, yeah, I love it. I absolutely love my handstand work. And that was what, 64, 65 sort of thing. It's like, I'm just very proud. Great achievement.
For me, being there and seeing it, it's, I was super proud of you because, you'd done the work, you'd done everything that Dave had given you, you worked on all the things that I'd been telling you to, and that Dave had been telling you to work on, which are pretty much the same thing. But it just coming at it from slightly different angles, and all of a sudden you're up against the wall, and the excitement in your face when you came down was it was definitely something I won't forget.
Yeah. I think this is where training, it can be so much fun. Yes, it's hard. I can still remember when you put me through certain drills, it was like, oh, this is so hard. But we have a lot of fun as well. And I reckon the relationship that you can establish with your trainer is really special. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And I was listening to something recently, and somebody was saying, the idea is to train somebody for 12 months or 2 years and then they don't need you. I actually have the complete opposite idea to that, because for me, I will always need a trainer. I will always want a trainer. One of the hardest things about lockdown is I haven't been able to train with anyone. I have had to do it on my own. Yeah. And that's given me a lot of confidence in one way. But I really miss, as a client, I miss a trainer. And as a trainer, I miss my clients. And I'm able to work with my clients locally, but my clients in Melbourne at the gym I work at down there, I really miss that sort of interaction, the achievements that each one gets. And I sort of think it's about working with people forever, sort of thing, until we're 80. Yes. Okay, until we're 80.
And then we'll scale back to sessions.
Maybe. Yeah.
Now, the gym you work at in Melbourne, can you just sort of explain what it is? Because it's a little bit different. Actually, it's very different to where we met, through a CrossFit gym. So if you'd like to explain to people, where it is and what it primarily focuses on.
Absolutely. It's a fabulous place. I feel like I say to people, I won the internship there after college. But it's run by a guy by the name of Jason Nakakis, and it's on Commercial Road, Prahran, and caters for mainly, I think, 50 plus people. The clients are terrific. We have so much fun. There's a lot of laughter that goes on there. And I guess it's like a boutique gym. Yeah. It's not one of your big gyms. It's personal training mainly. Yeah. And I've loved it. I've learned so much from Jason. We have really similar ideas. Jill, the other trainer there, they're so generous in their knowledge and teaching. The first 12 months, I really lacked confidence. I felt inadequate a lot of the time, which was fair enough. It was my first year at doing personal training sort of thing. But then I began to sort of get a little bit of an idea of how I might work with people. And I'm getting a little bit more confidence now. I check in with how they are emotionally first. Yeah. And I might have a program written down that I think might be suitable for the day, but when I check in with them, then I might need to change that. So that's been probably one of my biggest learnings. But I think one of the best learnings that I've had as a personal trainer is what we think might be happening on that day doesn't necessarily mean that's what's going to happen, because of the importance of really aligning with the client where they're at emotionally on that day.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I love it. And that's what I've missed most, because I haven't been able to go to Melbourne. And the gym's been closed for all this time. Jason's been able to train people in the park when they've been allowed. But, yeah, we haven't been able to do that. So it is different to a CrossFit gym for sure. And depending on the client, depends on what sort of strength work you do, what sort of mobility work you do. But everybody's there to sort of be the best they can as we age, sort of thing. And so, yeah, that's where I work in Melbourne.
Excellent. Now, preparing yourself for training versus preparing one of your clients for training, how do they differ? Does it differ, or is it exactly the same?
It's really interesting. I was thinking about this, and there's not a lot of difference. Depending on, again, it comes back to what I've just talked about, really. I can have a plan written down, and the client comes in if they've injured themselves during the week or they're just not well or whatever. But I think where I go with it is a warm-up, and during that warm-up, it's checking in with the person and seeing where they're at. And then I want to say mobility. I just find, especially at my age, mobility work is incredibly important to prepare me. And I was thinking about it before I went out the gym this morning, and I wasn't really crack hot on doing a workout. And so I noticed that I begin racing my warm-up. And then all of a sudden I get my attention and I go, hang on a minute, just come back into your body, just slow down. And then I actually work stronger and better when I'm just a little bit more focused. So that's really, I think, what I help people do is come down. You know, they've had a busy week, whatever's been going on, come back, come down into your body. Let's just see where you're at. Let's just take a moment, sort of thing.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's pretty similar. It really is.
Oh, that's all right. That's excellent. Now, a big thing I speak to people about is business before probably about 6 months before this COVID-19 pandemic hit, and before the whole world got sort of turned on its head, versus obviously now you're being in regional Victoria, coming out of it, you're able to train people. So what was business like before the lockdown, and how is business after our second lockdown?
For me, it's not really all that different.
Yeah.
Because I've been able to keep seeing my therapy clients, most via Skype. Local ones are able to come because I've got the appropriate distance. I miss not going to Melbourne to the gym, and so I can't see clients down there. And I can't see all my clients, so what I've been doing is writing programs. I started a program a few months ago called Faster Than a Walk, Slower Than a Run. And so I've actually been able to still set a program with clients doing that online rather than doing it face-to-face here, where I would, because a lot of people, my focus is, I see a lot of people out there walking, and you know that pushy part of me that wants to go, come on, a little bit more. But I think what I've learned is that I want people to be more efficient with their movement. That walking, when I go walking with a friend, it's really good for my stress and it's really good for socializing. But it's not necessarily, and I'll be hammered for this by some people, it's not necessarily doing a lot to making your body stronger or more efficient. And so I started this program because a lot of people say, oh, I can't run. Now, I know these people from CrossFit and they can run, but they haven't really learned how to run age appropriate or pace appropriate. And so I've been able, so the biggest change of that is I can't meet my clients face to face because they're in isolated areas, but I've changed from running distance to running time.
Yeah.
And that's worked because I don't know where they're running and I can't do it with them. So that's how we've worked it out. So look, I'm really blessed. I feel really blessed because I haven't really missed out other than going to Melbourne. I haven't missed out on my training. And I've been either able to set people programs online and then I check in with them once a week. We don't do an exercise session. I check in with them to see where they're at and what's holding them back, what do they need. And again, that's a lot based on their emotional needs as well. So, so for me, it's the traveling that I'm not getting, which, yes and no. I miss it and I don't miss it sort of thing. Yeah. But I do miss, I've heard the other people talk with the same thing. I miss the face-to-face contact with someone. I really miss that. And, we'll look forward to having that back when we can.
And I think like a lot of the people I've spoken to, they get into this industry because they like talking with people face to face. They're very, very happy. They're I wouldn't say they're full blown extroverts, but they enjoy the interaction with people in that intimate setting of the one-on-one small group settings. So yes, you can have more clients and all that sort of stuff on the internet, but you're missing that need. It's not being met. And that, a lot of talk is around, money and all that sort of stuff. But if your needs aren't being met by what you're doing, you're less likely to continue doing it. So it's a really big really big thing for trainers to, sort of diversify a little bit, but still be able to maintain that, like you said, personal relationship and that face-to-face interaction with clients.
Yes, absolutely. I think I really would like to encourage trainers to understand how important they are for people's well-being. I think that is one of the things we are really learning, not only us, because I think many of us already knew it, but society is learning the importance of movement and exercise for our mental health, not only our physical health, but our mental health. And the sooner that gyms can go back, because many gyms I know have been running appropriately before COVID even. And many of them have really stepped up their game and for people's sake, we need to be able to get back, safely, but as soon as we can, for sure.
Yeah. And we obviously have, one of the reasons this came about and is because I think people aren't getting the full picture of what dealing and being in the fitness industry is about. It's not just about the aesthetic side and the weight loss. There's too much information out there now telling you how important physical exercise is for, mental performance as well as physical performance and, emotional performance. If you're all over the place because you're used to exercising and doing things and then it's ripped out away from you and you're not able to get back into that routine, it's where a lot of people are going to be struggling, because it's the social aspect too, because a lot of people, their social life is the people they meet at the gym every day too. They might work high pressure jobs and all that sort of stuff, so their social life is the gym. So.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. I know that's what I miss about, like it's been really good to prove to myself that I can do the workouts without being at the gym because, you know, thank goodness I have enough equipment here. But being the age that I am, I'm usually the oldest in the gym. So I'm mixing with all these younger people of all the different generations down, and it's fabulous.
Yeah.
It's very good for my mental health. And again, we have a lot of fun. So, yes, I'm certainly missing my going to the gym for my own training. And, yeah, it's very important for people's well-being, you know, that word. Yep, for sure.
Now, because you have been in the gym for a while and you've been training for a long time, and this is probably the last question I'm going to ask, and it's the one I'd like to finish off with. It is something you've taken from being in the gym or your training that you use in everyday life.
Okay. You can see I'm just flipping through things here to see if I can remember what I've written down. Okay. Oh, I know, a great one. Get a grip.
Get a grip.
Get a grip. Own the bar. It's like, I say that to myself.
Yeah.
And when appropriate, but I do, I help clients do their version of that as well. Because when you're older, life can be tough. I know life can be tough when you're young, but when you're older, it can be sort of tough and you can get unsettled. Some of us can get unsettled in who we are, where we're going, how we're going to finish it, sort of thing. And I just think that grip strength on a kettlebell or a barbell or a bar, I really like the analogy of get a grip. And I have to do that for myself, especially in isolation. I can get off track so easily, and I have to kindly but firmly, you know, say to myself, get a grip, own your health, own your self-care. So that's probably something that I've taken from the gym that I now bring over. And the idea of structure and plan and progression and on the days when I just can't do it or haven't got it, regression, you know, so that there's movement in all the terms that I've learned, especially from CrossFit. I think it's like some days you're here, other days you're here, some days you're here. And I really live by this philosophy of the ups and the downs more smoothly, you know, rather than that and that sort of. And that's what I think my fitness journey has been about, is the scales, So I think that's what I've taken. But sometimes I need to say to myself, get a grip.
Yeah.
You know? And it depends on the tone of my voice as to where I'm at on that day.
Yeah.
So now that might scare some people off. They might go, "Whoa, Lord, heavens above!" But you know, our self-care is the only thing we have control of at the moment in life.
Yeah.
You know, and COVID has taken away a lot of fun and a lot of choices. But the only choices I have, you know, and can really exercise is how I care for myself on each day. And sometimes I have to break that down to a morning or an hour, or, you know, but get a grip, own it, you know, little steps.
Little steps.
Little steps. Yeah. That handstand didn't happen overnight. It didn't. Little steps. Progressions, regressions, you know, up and down the scale of where was I at on whatever day. So,
yeah. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, you know.
Yep. 1 forward, 2 back. It's yep. Because I often say to people, Brad, it's not about not being off track. we spend most of our lives off track. The trick is to learn how to get back on.
Yeah.
And that's a skill we have to learn emotionally and mentally, just like with our movement and with any of our work. There's skills that we learn to build our physical muscle. These are skills we learn to build our emotional muscle.
Yeah. And they do go hand in hand. You know, you can't be physically strong and emotionally weak. It doesn't play off well against each other. That's where, you know, to be strong, you've got to be not just physically strong, you've got to be emotionally strong as well.
Yeah, that's true. And that is how I very much work with people, is to help them build their emotional muscle, which has just sort of been laying dormant for some people in certain aspects.
Yeah.
And this is especially what's coming through with a running program is it's not about going fast or far. It's helping people build that little accountability muscle for themselves that they can actually enjoy over time. So I think that's all that I take into from the gym, that accountability, that integrity. You know, they're the things that in order to do CrossFit, they're often the things that you have to work on.
Yeah. That's it. That's excellent. All right. Thank you very much for today, Kate. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know I have, and it's always great talking to you. I do love our chats, and we do stay in touch quite a bit outside of this interview. So thank you very much for today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Can I just say something?
Yes.
Thank you to you, and well done to you, because you asked me a long time ago for this interview.
Yes.
And it's fantastic the way that you have used lockdown and isolation to develop the strengths that you were not, you were not confident in. Yeah. So I want to say, yay, you, we did it finally. But, and that's your version of a kick up. It's like, but well done, Brad. I think it's terrific. And I love, I feel really honoured that you've asked me for the interview and that we've done it. But good on you is what I want to say.
Thank you. And a lot of it was procrastination and that magic word that seems to get everyone. But a lot of self-reflecting during this time, and just taking a chance that people actually want to see that there's more to their trainer than just what they see when they get to the gym. These people are really there's a lot more to them than just the gym. And I think especially for myself, I got very caught up in being the gym and being the PT, and there is so much more for people than just that aspect of the person.
Yeah, of you. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And also, Brad, people listening to this who might be in that procrastination place, but also we can't do it. None of us can do it till we're ready.
Yeah.
And until we're able to have the courage to take that step into the unknown.
Yeah.
And you took that step, but you were ready at the same time. And I love it. It's interesting.
All right. Thank you very much, Kate. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome.
And I will speak to you again soon.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye.